Civil 3D 2017 has seen a great enhancement to data shortcut management as well as object management within the tool space. So you can now create folders under in the tool space area. So I could say, well, I want all my road um, surfaces in a road folder, push them into a road folder, and this functionality also extends to the actual data shortcuts themselves as well. So you can now, if I remove some of these, and actually I notice you still can't remove lots of them. So when you create data shortcuts, and I just select all the surfaces there, one thing you'll notice is you don't see those folders actually in the when you create the data shortcuts, but when you actually hit OK and look into the data shortcuts, you'll see that the road folder has been added. Bit of a bug if you ask me. Hopefully it'll be improved on a new service pack. In addition to folders being created for surfaces and alignments, you'll also notice that you can create reference to multiple objects at once. So if I open a new drawing, so previously when we were doing data shortcuts and we wanted to bring in more than one data shortcut at a time, I had to do them one at a time. But now you can just select them all and say create reference. You'll notice when you do this, it doesn't actually give you the option to select a style. It just uses the default style in the template. I think it would probably be nicer if there was an option to specify the actual style down the bottom here for the default style for the data shortcut as a column option, but obviously not there. So you can see all those road surfaces have come through. Obviously that saves you a lot of time, particularly when you're in alignments and you want to bring in an alignment and then all the associated profiles. You don't have to manually bring them all in at once. You can basically say create reference to the alignment, and then you can select all the profiles and they come through all at once. They've also added options to deal with the performance problem on surface data. So particularly for large existing surfaces and big LiDAR surfaces, caching surface data inside the actual act of drawing can save yourself a lot of time when loading up. You'll notice on the surfaces when you look at the actual data shortcuts, if I check these out, there is a new column that's been added at the end, and it says geometry is stored in the drawing or it's reference only. This will dramatically increase performance when you are working with large existing surfaces, although there is a slight downfall in that your drawing files will be a little bit larger than normal. But for those guys out there that were printing off large drawings and waiting forever for the existing surface to be loaded into every single drawing, that's going to save you a lot of time. Now, another great new feature is the addition of corridors as data shortcuts. So you can now create reference to corridors. Now this saves you a lot of time when managing line work for your drawing production. So now when I create a reference, I can say, find my corridor, there it is, I'll create these two corridors, hit OK. And if we go into the drawing here, and I can see these two corridors that are accessible, I create reference to them. Now, although there's no way to manage any of the regions at this point in time, you can select the corridor style, as well as once you get in, you can't select it yet, but once you get in, you can actually change the code set that's been used to display all of these regions as well, which is a huge benefit for you guys doing drawing production. So it is important to note that when you do bring in a corridor as a data shortcut, that it will also bring in the associated alignments and associated offset alignments, curb returns, and all of their profiles for it to display correctly. If you don't want to see them, you can obviously just change them all to no display, but there's no way to get around at this point the corridor displaying inside your drawing without all of those other objects coming in. So we can select the corridor and go to the corridor properties. So most of all the parameters are all grayed out. Obviously, it'd be useful if you could tick on and off regions so that you can only see certain parts of the corridor you want to display. But within the code set style, we do have access to display these code sets or your own custom code sets. So I'm going to change this to maybe the paved area hatched, and you can see that's pretty useful because we can then start doing things like showing hatching for the links, doing hatching for the footpaths, and having all these feature lines from the corridor come through automatically without having to keep extracting them out. And I'll do the same with the other one over there. Use the 3D render. So corridor data referencing is incredibly useful there.